right. Why do I always get nervous doing this? Like at the beginning,
I don't know.
always do this.
I don't know.
I
That's
always
really
get
weird.
shy, and it's stupid. It's like I'm talking to you. I've been talking to you this whole time, but as soon as I'm recording, I'm like, all right, I got to do this intro, and then the nerves get me. And scene. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Rewind Podcast, and you're looking right at me. You me up. I try to roll with it, but I flabbergasted myself.
Why is it every time we do this, we can jump straight into D&D, but this kills us every time.
All the time, we're always laughing and making jokes. It's stupid. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Rewind Podcast, where we talk about movies, TV shows, anime, anything with a story, really. My name is Oz, and this is my co-host, Ryan.
Hey, what's up? I'm Ryan.
So, for those of you who are new, which is, let's be real, probably everybody, right? Because we haven't done this podcast in what?
As far as they're aware, never. But,
never, that's true.
But yeah,
that's a good point.
You and I haven't done this in 2 years because we did it originally and then we scrapped it.
We scrapped. So if by any chance there's viewers from the old podcast, forget about it because it's a whole new thing, baby. Version 2. So let's just give them a brief intro, right? Ryan, who are you?
Hey, I'm Ryan. I'm the Dungeon Master here at Rewind It Media. I am also a film graduate, filmmaker, currently a photojournalist, but I don't want to do that anymore. I have over a decade of experience in film and television, and normally I tend to know what I'm talking about, or I'm really good at lying. I'm really good at making you believe I know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's who I am. Who are you, though, Oz?
Oof, that's a harder question to answer than I really thought. Psych, I'm gonna give a brief one.
Okay.
It won't be as good as yours, to be honest. But I am also
Don't
a
put yourself
film
down
graduate.
like that.
Yeah, true. All right, let me hype myself up.
Hype yourself up, bro.
I am a filmmaker extraordinaire, film graduate as well. That's actually where we met, which we'll give a brief story here in a little bit.
True.
Film graduate, filmmaker, storyteller in my own rights. And I am not a dungeon master here at Rewind It Media, but I am one of the players, which some might say the best character arc so far. Gather Dryson, I'm just saying. But regardless, that's me being biased. Anyways, yeah, I also am good at acting like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to filmmaking in general. But no, really, we are two very passionate people when it comes to just storytelling in general. And movies just happen to be one of our favorite formats of that. And we take it seriously, honestly, right? When we watch a bad movie, we don't lie and say it's good just for the ads, right? We say it's bad because it's bad.
It's bad.
When it's great, we just love talking about it constantly, bringing it up. And just like the whole point of this podcast really would be to break down not just movies, but TV shows, anime, everything in general, what works, what doesn't. And let's get into the nitty gritty, right? Of like the filmmaking process in general, cinematography, the editing of everything, right? Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to really break down movies and just be truthful about the movie overall. You know what I mean?
It's all about telling
We're not
story.
in it. Exactly. So, let's tell them a story, right? The story how we first met. Take it away.
It was hot. It was humid. It was Florida. We went to. Oh, you're gonna hear this, and some of you are gonna be like, "That sounds right." We went to Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida, Winter Park, Florida, to be specific. And we met. Was that 2016 that we started? 2015.
2016 is
2016.
when we met. Yeah.
We graduated late 2017. It was a 2-year accelerated course for a 4-year science degree in film, which is still
scientists, baby.
That's still my favorite part about it. People are like, "You have a film degree? What art degree is that?" I'm like, "Excuse me, that's a science degree."
Dude, I joke about that all the time. I was like, "You're not talking to just like a filmmaker. I'm a scientist."
I'm a scientist, bro. I can do all that math. But I can do all that math.
Definitely cannot.
I cannot.
I definitely cannot.
No.
But I agree. It was Florida. It was hot. It was awful. Let's be real, right? We're not just talking about the program in general. We're talking about just Florida in general. All of the Florida audience is not gonna love that, but hey, listen, you know what you signed up for.
It's okay.
You know what you signed up
the
for.
next GTA set there, so you get a win next year.
True. I mean, the beach is nice.
It can be, yeah. The rocket launches every weekend. That was fun.
That is cool.
Fiddler's Green, Irish Pub, Winter Park, Florida.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we just plug in Florida in general. Lit. Okay.
That's it.
Yeah, I can't find anything
The
nice to say
seafood
about
was
Florida.
bad, actually. You get better seafood anywhere else, really, except for Texas.
Damn.
Sorry, Florida.
Damn, you heard it first.
It's
Yeah,
true.
for sure. But like, it's such a crazy coincidence how we met, right? Is we just happened to be in the same class. Our professor at the time had asked us all to introduce ourselves, and we both happened to be from Colorado, and we both happened to be about 30 minutes away from each other, which is crazy. Considering that we both left around the same time, we live in Florida, out of state in general, going to the same degree, and it's just like we're just down the street from each other, realistically.
Yeah, and it was that Step Brothers moment where we're like, "Did we just become best friends?" It was that shit. Yeah.
But it could have been the crazy thing of it in general is the fact that like we could have just been regular people who just met. You know, we're both from the same spot, but we don't click. You know what I mean? But we clicked very early on.
Yeah.
Very early on, and it was more of a like, yo, we're almost the same person in the sense of like the goofiness, the love for filmmaking in general, and just we love the hell out of anime and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So it's like all of this stuff just clicked very well, and it's like, bam, you're right. We just became best friends.
Yep.
In this hot state, terrible program.
With my apartment AC on full blast as we're watching Hunter x Hunter, bro, all day.
Here's my thing. Something that you need to know about Ryan is that if you're gonna happen to stay with him somewhere, the AC is gonna be turned up too much. First of all, too much.
No.
You don't need it to be that low every single night.
It's not too much.
It's too much. It's too cold. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, who's trying to wake up with it just being chilly?
Well, hey, if they know where I am now, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona.
That's true.
The hottest city in the United States of America. This boy is at 70, and it is still blasting all the time, just to fight the heat.
Can't imagine.
It's like 106.
I was there
today.
visiting last year, and it was like 100 and something every single day.
Yeah, it was 110 plus every day you guys were out here, which was awful. And it was like that for 31 straight days.
Yeah, no, that's super rough. Not
Yeah,
gonna lie.
yeah.
Love seeing you. Did not love being there.
Nope.
So when we got to college, right, and we wanted to be filmmakers, what drew you to like filmmaking in general?
Oh, I grew up on it. I grew up on documentaries mainly. I grew up on Star Trek, The Next Generation.
The final frontier. These are the voyages of the Starship Enterprise. Its continuing mission to explore strange new worlds, to seek out new life and new civilizations, to boldly go where no one has gone before.
I grew up on when the Lord of the Rings trilogy started coming out in 1999. You know, my dad took me to those. We would watch it in the on-base U.S. Army base, shitty little theater where they played the national anthem and all the soldiers had to stand up and salute the theater screen, which totally wasn't weird for a young child to watch every time.
I know that was a thing.
It was in Germany actually when those movies started coming out for me. So, yeah, it's been a huge part of my development of my understanding of morality and my development of my interests in things like Oz knows this audience. I'm a huge history buff, history nerd. I dive into that on a regular basis. I'm a huge proponent that if you don't learn something new every day, you've wasted that day. So when it comes to things like history, filmmaking, storytelling, Dungeons and Dragons, I'm always trying to learn new things about all those different topics every single day, so that when I'm an old, wizened, wrinkly man, all of the youngins can come to me for hidden knowledge of the ancient world after society collapses or whatever in this post-apocalyptic future that I'm apparently writing now. So yeah, it just helped develop me as a person, really.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, you and I have two different views on being old, because I'm gonna be that old guy that's like, "Leave me alone, you darn children!
Get off
my lawn!"
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
You shoot at them.
Yeah, the wild.
Near them, in the air. Warning shots, firing
say
blanks.
Say that though. You say shoot at them is crazy.
Blanks, squirt gun.
Unless it's futuristic guns.
Oh,
then it's a different thing.
Laser rifle. Pew pew.
So for me, getting into filmmaking was kind of like a late journey for me, right? Like, I was a little kid from Mexico getting into the United States, and like the only thing I remember growing up is watching cartoons. Like cartoons was a big gateway for me. Like Dragon Ball Z is like the thing that always sticks out in my head about like one of the first things that I remember visually watching and like being obsessed with, right? Pokemon and all of these different cartoons growing up is what I've always liked. And then I kind of hit a peak in like, you know, like middle school, high school, where like media wasn't really my thing. I would watch movies with friends and stuff like that, but it never really like piqued my interest like that. And it wasn't until after high school that I really started watching a lot of stuff, movies and TV shows, and then it just like filmmaking in general and the possibility of being a filmmaker became obsessive in my mind. And I took the leap and just went to Florida and wanted to learn how the process worked. So I would say like we're different in that aspect where like it wasn't a big component of my life, but it is now.
Was it like a huge right turn for you to go to film school as well?
It was, because like, well, I'm not really in a sense, because like I didn't know what I wanted to do, you know, like after high school. So I was just working, and you know, my mom would always like complain and say, just go you know, just go get a business degree or something, right? But I never wanted to do anything like that. And like it didn't click in my head until like I was about 24, where and I remember it specifically. I was watching Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs for the first time.
Great movie.
Come on, throw in a buck.
I don't tip.
You don't tip?
No, I don't believe in it.
You don't believe in tipping?
You know what these chicks make? They make shit.
Don't give me that. She don't make enough money, she can quit.
And then it just clicked in my head where I'm like, this is crazy. Like somebody wrote this story about like this after the bank heist gone wrong in this one set, and it's just I just became obsessed with it. And that's shortly after that is when I wrote my first story idea. And after that, it was immediately of like a left turn of being like, I want to be a filmmaker, and it's just like a hard left of being like, cool, this is it. Whereas you, it was the same thing, right? Because you were a different.
I'm in a similar boat, because I was after high school, I was lost. I went to college for a history degree first, and that fell through, and like all the friendships I had just collapsed, and I didn't know who I was. So I came back to Colorado. I became an emergency medical technician, intermediate certified, so I could stick you with needles, which is always fun. And I was doing that and was just completely lost as a person. And one day I'm working in the operating room. I was a patient care technician. I was the guy that wheeled you down to surgery and then shaved your chest if you had heart surgery. That was me. And one day I'm just like, I'm not going to do this anymore. So I, during work, sent the email to the Full Sail recruiters and said, hey, I'm interested. What can we do? And
now what crept in your mind beforehand though to like do filmmaking in general? Because you said that filmmaking was a part of your life forever, right? But you went to like school for history and then you know, like some medical and stuff like that. Was it always creeping behind you to be like filmmaking is a possibility and this and that?
It was just such a huge part of my foundational development, you know. Again, I talked about a lot of my morality or understanding of morality. This is not a joke. Comes from Star Trek: The Next Generation. Like a lot of who I am in terms of decision making on what I feel is a good thing and a right thing, and how people as a society should work towards better goals for each other. How we should help each other because we're the only ones we've got. You know, we're alone on this rock in space. We need to take care of each other because if we don't, who else will? That kind of thing. That comes from growing up with these documentaries about these historical figures who were risking it all to fight fascism in World War II, to build a new nation here in America. Like, and then also these fictional stories of modern social issues with the crew of the Starship Enterprise through Star Trek.
It could significantly redefine the boundaries of personal liberty and freedom, expanding them for some, savagely curtailing them for others. Are you prepared to condemn him and all who come after him to servitude and slavery? Your Honor, Starfleet was founded to seek out new life. Well, there it sits.
And so throughout all of my life, in the background, there's always been film and television as a huge proponent of, well, who am I? So I would say it's always been there, and it wasn't until I knew that I didn't want to do the other things that I dove in and was like, yes. Literally, it was like 2 days later, they got back to me and said, you're accepted. And I gave my 2 weeks that very moment. Like, I called my manager,
awesome.
and I said, "Hey, I'm done." And my parents were on vacation, so I called them while they're on vacation. I'm like, "Hey, I'm quitting the good job with the good healthcare that I have, and I'm going to film school."
That's actually a very interesting pivot point. What did your parents think about, like, as soon as you told them? Because let's be honest, right? Like, telling your folks, "Hey, I want to go to film school," right?
Yeah.
It is such a weird
No, it's
conversation.
wild.
Especially you, because you somewhat had your life in a better position career-wise than I did when I went to film school.
Yeah, I could have pursued that and gone
yeah.
down medicine, and I did not.
And so you call your folks and you're like, "Hey,
Yep.
I'm going to Florida.
Yep.
Film." What's the reactions?
Dad was annoyed at first, but he wasn't surprised. Was the thing.
I like that.
Mom was just kind of shook, like, "Huh? Really?" And then, but Dad got over his annoyance, and then he was immediately helpful. He was like, "Okay,
That's awesome.
He was like, "All right, then we're gonna have to fly down there. We're gonna have to talk to FAFSA for loans. We'll talk to our bank for loans as well." So he started doing the logistics immediately, because that's just who my dad is. He needs to plan the thing out. He needs to have the logistics for it. Whereas me and my mom, we're the ones that are like, "I'm doing this thing now, surprise." And then Dad would be like,
And just do it.
"Oh, come on." And then, so yeah, they were surprised, a little annoyed at first, but then they hopped on board and they saw that in film school, I did the best academically that I had ever done in any education platform in my life up to that point. They saw that I actually finally cared about it. I'm kind of ADHD. If I don't care, I will lose interest. I won't do it. So I always was really bad in school. But film school, every single class was interesting in its own way to me, and I was always diving in.
I like that a lot. It's awesome seeing how supportive they were. Like, shook at first, turns into supportive. And it was kind of similar for me too. Yeah, it was kind of the same way. Like, I think like the way I spoke about wanting to be a filmmaker to my mom was probably what reassured her to being all like, because her reaction surprised me, because she wasn't. I expected her to be like, "No, that's crazy. Like, what are you thinking? This and that." But I think because the way I spoke about wanting to do it and like, like the passion behind it, she saw that differently than everything else. And so for her, it was like, "Okay, then let's do it, right? Send the application." So I sent it in. They offered to do a tour. We went to Florida, checked it out, fell in love with the idea of like doing film in a different like state and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, in a few months, I started the program, and then like 2 months go by and I'm in Florida. So it was definitely surprising how well she took it. Because it's, once again, like telling like just random people, "Hey," unless it was like you hear these stories from actual directors, and like even like some of the people we met in college where they're like, "Oh, I've been shooting movies since I was a kid. I'm a little phone, or my grandfather gave me this little camera." You know what I mean? Like I'm sure their parents weren't surprised by their pursuing filmmaking, whereas like for me, like I was a little kid from Mexico, bro. We didn't have a camera. You know what I'm saying? Like I never had that like stuff access to me. I lived in a poor neighborhood, right? Like our schools didn't have access to like certain art programs, so we never got that opportunity. So that out of like left field wanting to be a filmmaker, I'm sure it shocked her in a bit, but she was very supportive, thankfully. And now look at us, still trying to make movies.
We're still
in debt, baby.
It's all about telling stories. Still in debt. That's not a lie. I mean, we're still. I don't make as many films as we used to when after graduation, that kind of thing. But still, the lessons that I learned and the experience that we've developed together with our numerous short films, the commercial shoots we've worked on, the feature films we've worked on, after graduation, I apply those pretty much every single day to the stories that we tell here on this channel, and to the stories that we want to tell in the future. So, I don't regret it. It was a good choice.
Yeah, no, dude, I'm right there with you. If like the program was nowhere near perfect. I mean, we both know this.
No.
But I certainly believe that my time there, I've learned a lot from the filmmaking aspect in general. Because for me, it was like I didn't know how films were made. You know what I mean? Like I just knew, like and like there's a lot of YouTube stuff now. Like you don't even have to go to film school, right? You don't have to do none of that. You can just figure it out yourself. But for me, it felt so unattainable that like learning from other people who have been in the industry was very beneficial to me. But the number one thing that I will always like think about when it comes to Full Sail in general was meeting you guys, right? Was meeting the great friends that we currently have, friends that we've collaborated with on many times, friends we still see on a regular basis when we can, and stuff like that. You feel me?
More you than me. I'm really bad at like
for sure
visiting people, but yeah.
Yeah, I'm all over the place. But like it's just the connections we made, the movies we made, the drive to tell stories and stuff. Even though we're not in a place where we want to be as far as like when we were then, our career goals and stuff have changed dramatically over the past few years.
Yeah,
we're still telling stories, right? When you think about like our D&D campaign, I don't, and I giving you credit often on camera all the time, is that I don't think I could do D&D if you weren't the dungeon master and all that stuff, because just the way you tell the story and everything in general, you know what I'm saying?
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
No, for sure. It's just the way you tell the story just helps with everything in general, which if you haven't checked out an episode, check it out and you'll see what I mean. The way he gets the character, the way he explains things is genius. So like you said, you figured out a way to put story into a different way.
Yeah.
That is still working for you.
Yeah, and those
I'm
skills
sure you've applied that
apply
like,
to this. They apply to the edits that we do for the episodes. They apply to Monday Minis. They apply to this show here. All of those skills are the only reason you and I can do this to the quality standard that we're comfortable with. Because you and I, we're definitely very critical of what we make. For sure. And we're definitely like, isn't where I want it. I'm not even going to release it. Like, we're that kind of people.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And so when it comes to what we make on this channel, and when it comes to this very show here, a lot of work goes into it, and we're very like, hey, it's got to meet the standard that if it came onto our feed and we were subscribed to the channel, we would sit down and watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the number one thing that we talked about when we wanted to revamp this podcast, right? Is to like not just talk about one movie, but talk about different topics and different things that are in film in general, right? But the number one thing that I think our audience would like from us, honestly, right, is being truthful, right?
Yes.
We have no filter when it comes to a bad movie. Like the last time I saw you, like last month, we watched Madam Web, right?
Oh, and it was terrible.
It was just for funsies, right? We had nothing to do the night before I left, and it was like, let's just watch it and let's just talk shit and just just eat some snacks. And just
Which
watch
is something we do a lot. Is we'll pick a terrible movie and we'll just watch it,
and then we'll watch it. And unfortunately, Madam Web was the one we watched. Unfortunately, on the fact that we kind of tore it to shreds, and then 2, we had to sit through it.
Yeah,
which is probably the worst.
And
part.
3, we forgot to record it because. Man.
Yes, it would have been hilarious if we recorded it. It also probably would have been bad as far as like, actually, it would have been great because everybody would have agreed with everything we said.
Pretty much, yeah.
But yeah, the whole point of this podcast is to be truthful, tell you how things are, right? And there's gonna be times, right, where Ryan and I disagree on topics on filmmaking, as far as a shot that I like that he doesn't like, or a movie that he liked that I thought was a little boring, right, and stuff like that. And that's the whole point of this. Is we're not here to agree on everything. We're here to talk about movies in our own rights and just break it down and just get into the nitty gritty. That's the whole point of this.
Yeah. Speaking of nitty gritty.
Yes.
What's your top 4 on Letterboxd?
Oof, that's a tough question, but it's almost like we prepared for this.
Transition.
Yeah, we're definitely doing. We figured a good way for us to show the audience who we are is to show you guys our favorite 4 on Letterboxd, while also plugging our Letterboxd.
Yeah.
But my top 4, I'll run it down quickly and then we'll get into them. Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite 4.
What's your handle?
In no particular order. Oh, my handle is Yo It's Oz.
Oh, okay.
Simple as that.
Okay.
Which is we'll link it here, we'll link it there,
down
below, wherever.
It'll be in the
there.
description. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure, no doubt. But my favorite 4, no particular order, will be La La Land, Interstellar, the animated movie Your Name, and I'm going overseas for this one, and I'm picking Parasite.
Okay.
Those are my favorite 4. Now, Ryan, you know me well enough to know that La La Land is one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, I think it's a wild choice for top 4, but yeah, that's
for sure. Listen, Listen, and you know what's funny is we talked about this beforehand, and I was like, I know my favorite 4 are gonna be a lot different than yours.
Yes.
A lot different, right?
Yes.
Because I went more modern in a sense, movies that are freshly in my mind that I watch on a yearly basis, to be honest. But yeah, starting with La La Land, loved it. I think I teared up a few times watching it. I think it's a very
Only a
beautiful
few
movie.
times?
No, yeah, every time I watch it, I think I get a little sad. It's just and I'm not one to love musicals and stuff like that at all. Like, that's not my thing. So watching this was like a random choice for me. Only watched it because Damien Chazelle was just fresh off of the great movie that was Whiplash. So
Yes.
hence why I hopped on this movie. Watched it, loved it, legitimately teared up at the end. Loved the ending. I think it's brilliantly written. It's shot very well. The music is great. Oscars were won and then taken away because they messed up. Stuff like that. Love the movie. Will never not recommend La La Land. Straight up. Now, we talked about this. I know you would choose Whiplash over La La Land any day.
Yes.
And I get that for sure. Whiplash is a great movie. I just think La La Land is just that next step up. You know what I mean? And I also think it's Damien Chazelle's best work, and has been able to live up to that level of.
I respect it. It's a great movie. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I just think it's a wild choice for top 4. Like of
Top
all
4, baby.
time.
Hey, all time,
crazy.
baby. All time. Listen.
That's a great movie though.
Is it?
Yeah, I remember blasting the soundtrack all for like months after it came out when we were
Yeah,
in
because we
film
watched it in
school.
Florida together too.
Yeah, we took a whole big ass group to see it.
Yeah, it was big of us, and I think we all liked it.
We
too.
all
Were
liked
like,
it,
Yo,
yeah.
This is a great movie. Yeah. But I agree, it is a wild choice. But hey, I know people in the comments are gonna be like, "Yo,
They're like,
good
all
choice,
right,
good choice,
La
good
La Land,
choice."
all right.
Now, second
Another
movie,
day
there's-
of sun. They're gonna be like that.
Hashtag
Don't sue us.
Another Day of Sun. Second movie for me is it's no secret here. I love Christopher Nolan. I think he's one of my favorite directors, which has recently changed, you know, from Christopher Nolan to Denis Villeneuve for obvious reasons.
Yep.
His track record right now is crazy.
Crazy.
But going back to Christopher Nolan, Interstellar.
Where's the mountains?
Those aren't mountains. They're waves.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
That one's moving away from us.
We need the recorder.
It's one of my all-time favorite
That's on
movies.
my list too.
Yeah, listen,
Yep.
Interstellar is life-changing. It is heartbreaking. It is f***ing beautiful. And man, that soundtrack.
Dude, I lost track of how many times I saw that in IMAX.
Oh, dude,
All the
oh
time.
man, I got chills thinking about it.
Yep.
Oh man, the performances, just that movie in general is so close to perfect that I just cannot not give it its flowers. You know what I mean? It is such a great movie. I included it in my favorite 4 for a reason. You did too. It's kind of crazy that we both matched up on that.
Spelled up.
Hey,
Spelled up right now, bro.
spelled
It's
up for
so
sure.
good.
If you don't know what that means, check out D&D. You'll find out. Next movie on my list is Your Name. I don't know if you've seen it.
It's
It
a great
is an
movie.
animated
It's a
movie.
great movie.
Listen, that movie had me balling. I'm not. Listen, first off, you should know from me, I'm not ashamed to say that I be crying in movies all the time. Are you kidding me?
That's what they're
tear
for,
up
bro.
Just because, yeah, facts.
You gotta
Connect
feel
to
the
a character.
feels.
Exactly. Feel the feels is the best way to put it. You gotta feel the feels, and I love the movie. That movie is phenomenal. It is beautiful to look at. It is tragic. It is heartbreaking, and it has one of the best endings of all time, where they just meet up and you don't know what's going to happen. It's just bam. If you've never seen like a Japanese animated movie, which you know, if you haven't, come on, you know, like step
It's
it up.
2024.
There's a lot
You
of
should
great
watch
movies, yeah,
anime.
for sure. You should watch anime.
Yeah.
Some of the best stories have been told in anime form. And
Correct.
you're missing out. For
Correct.
sure. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Some of the best movies have been told in anime form, and you don't want to give it a shot because you think it's a cartoon, but it's more than a cartoon. It is storytelling at its peak almost.
One
you
of my top 10 favorite movies of all time is Studio Ghibli.
See?
It's a Ghibli
Easy,
film.
dude.
Yep.
There it is. Ooh,
Which we're not doing. It's not in this list,
soon,
but it's up
soon,
there.
Soon.
Yep.
Soon. But yeah, Your Name, highly recommend. If you've never seen it, watch it and hit me up in the comments saying that you cried, because I know you will, because I did. Let's be real.
At what runtime in the film did you cry? Put the time code down below.
Unless, yeah. No, you know what? Tell me the scene you cried, because I know exactly what scene you cried at, because I also had a pause. Listen, Ryan, watching the movie for the first time, it gets to the scene, which I think you know what scene it is, right? She's having a trip. I'm just saying.
Yep.
I paused the movie because what happens after she trips, I'm just like clapping, I'm tearing up, and I'm like, wow, beautiful. Hit play again, continue going on, still balling out. Loved it. Highly recommend.
Phenomenal.
Watch it. And then last one on my list, obviously, is Parasite. Now, Parasite is a masterpiece.
뭐야, 소독해? 창문 닫아.
나도 봐. 공짜로 집안에 소독도 하고.
부모님 얼굴도 뵙고 좋더라. 건강들 하시고.
일거리가 없으셔도.
네가 내 대신 얘 과외 선생님 좀 해줘라. 영어.
대학생인 척하라는 거야?
구라를 좀 치지 뭐.
It is a masterpiece. It is going to go down in cinema as one of the best movies ever.
Yep.
It is so good. The twist is bonkers. You don't expect it to go the way it goes. The score is beautiful. It's shot brilliantly, and the acting is incredible. I cannot say it enough. That movie is a masterpiece.
Oh, and the social commentary is on point. On point. It's
on
so
point.
good. It's so good.
Watch the movie the first time, watch the breakdown afterwards, and then watch it again.
Yeah,
You're
watch
like, damn, it all makes
Parasite.
sense.
Wait a week. Watch it again. You're
Yeah, no, do not. I don't see enough people giving this movie the credit it deserves. I think it won an Oscar for a reason, but I think after the Oscar season, it kind of just died down. But man, that movie is just incredible.
That twice in theaters.
I did
we
see
go
it twice
once?
in theaters too.
Did we go?
I think we might have.
Yeah,
I think we might have.
Because
I know I watched it for the first time alone.
I dragged my sibling there, and I was like, "Hey, you're watching this movie."
You know what's funny is, like, as soon as it was available online, made my family watch it, right? And they were all just just shook.
Yeah.
By the actual twist and everything. Like, what is going on? I'm like, dude, I'm saying
it's phenomenal.
I'm watching this in theater, dude. I'll never forget. I'm watching it in theaters, right? Lean back in the reclinable chairs and stuff like that. It gets to the twist, and I'm forward for the rest of the movie. Like, what is going on right now? This is so crazy. Brilliant movie. Loved it. But these are my favorite four. What about you, Ryan? Let's hear
my favorite four. All right. This will not surprise you. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King.
Okay, makes sense.
Dune Part 2.
Oh, modern.
Has made the final four.
Interesting. Final four.
The original Blade Runner.
Oh, that I could have. Yeah.
Yep.
I could have guessed that.
And then the one we share is Interstellar. Yeah, it's up there. Come on, Interstellar is a magnificent film. But yeah, let's get into it. Lord of the Rings: The Return of the King, a culmination of three and a half years of brutal, constant filmmaking magic to create a Academy Award sweeping masterpiece of a film and a finale that blows the other movies out of the water, and they are still masterpieces in their own right as well. It is the culmination of Peter Jackson's career. He has never reached that high ever again. I don't think he ever will. I love you, Peter Jackson. I'm sorry, but oh my goodness.
It is not a bad movie to peek at, though.
Oh, seriously.
It is not a bad movie to peek at.
The end of the trilogy, of films. You did good. You're all right, It's just a masterwork. It is beautiful, enthralling. The soundtrack is out of this world. Every actor has already proven that they're on point throughout the trilogy, and it just culminates here in some of the most beautiful set-piece, heart-wrenching moments. I bawl my eyes out multiple scenes in that movie. The Ride of the Rohirrim, rest in peace, Bernard Hill. And then the final goodbye. You, my friends, you bow to no one. There's so many set-piece moments in that film that will live on till long after all of us are dead. It is a magnificent movie. Dune Part 2.
Dune Part 2, I'll be honest, surprises me being on the list. Only because I expected you to go a little bit more, not so modern. You know what I mean?
I had Godfather Part 2, and I was shuffling between.
That's my thing, is I didn't want to be that guy, because let's be real, everybody puts Godfather on the list,
Yeah.
right? And I was
Everybody
like, I won't be
puts
that
it
guy.
and they
I gotta
don't
be
back it
different.
up because they watched it twice and they think it's good.
Exactly.
I would be like, no, Godfather Part 2 is magnificent. Here's why. But it's not on the list because Dune 2 just beat it out. The emotion, the emotion on screen from just the cinematography alone. That opening moment when the Sadrukar hit their anti-grav belts and start floating up the mountain, I was like, this is cinema. I was like, this is peak filmmaking right here. Just
It looked good too, considering like how they did it. It looks great.
It's gorgeous.
That
It's
scene
gorgeous.
specifically.
And having the entirety of Dune Part 1 to enthrall you into this world and then just have a whole film that is nothing but payoff for all the build from Dune Part 1. The fight scenes are magnificent. The sense of scale is impeccable. I don't think any film does the sense of scale as well as this film did it. The Dune worms are so big and they're so tangible. They feel like they exist. The scale of this world is epic. It is just epic scale storytelling. And it's such a good story of being careful to trust a charismatic leader. It's such a good warning. I cannot wait for Dune Messiah when Frank Herbert, the author of the book, and Denis Villeneuve, the director of Part 3 as well, is going to just shove it down people's throats who don't get it, that Paul Atreides is the bad guy. Nobody's a good guy, but he's definitely not a good guy either. What a magnificent movie. I really can't hype it up enough. I saw it like 4 times in theaters, twice in IMAX, at one of the 12 70mm film theaters in the world. And we're sitting there watching it, and I was just transported. It was life-changing to watch it in 70mm. Once in Dolby Cinema and then once in a regular theater. And every time it was amazing.
See, I watched it twice in Dolby. I didn't get the chance to watch Dune 1 in theaters, only because that's just like my schedule and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So being able to watch just Dune 2 in Dolby was mind-blowing.
Yep.
But I agree with you. I think it's a great movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people didn't like the first one in the sense of because it's just story building the whole time.
Yeah.
But that's fine. It told the story very well. And then you're right. Dune Part 2 is just a payoff.
It's just payoff.
And it's just, you're right. People love the bad guy because it's Timothée Chalamet. He plays the character so well. And it's just, it's like you said, the scale and being teleported to this world is so real. Because they took care of all the details on making it feel real. And that world feels too real.
Oh, yeah. No, it feels
too real.
It's too relatable. Yeah. There's a lot of
For
it
sure.
where I'm like, I've seen that in real life. Like it's
and also the social topics they talk on too, right? Whether it's based on religion and just politics in general, is very
religion,
intriguing.
politics, nepotism,
and how it all kind of falls into
power
itself.
in the hands of the few.
And dude, the fight scene between Austin Butler and Timothée Chalamet's character is clean, dude.
It's so beautiful,
so quiet. You just hear the grunts, the fight.
Quiet,
It's
intense.
beautiful.
The face-off beforehand, where you learn so much more about these two characters in like 2 sentences.
Yeah, for sure.
Them saying "May thy knife chip and shatter" to each other says so much about them, and it's all in the performance. I went in, I'm like, Austin Butler, come on, bro, really?
Same.
Really?
I saw Elvis. I thought it was terrible.
I was wrong.
So I'm with you.
I was wrong.
No.
Austin Butler is a phenomenal actor. Oh my goodness, dude. His Fade Rautha is fire. It was so good. It's so good.
That's one of the big things that I heard going into the movie was that his performance was mind-blowing, right? And I'm like, is it really? Because even his performance as Elvis was good, but I just did not like the movie. I thought it was terrible. It wasn't my thing. And then sure enough, watching it, I'm like, dude, this dude can act, right?
Yeah.
His character change is so different, right? He is so menacing with the way he looks at the camera is so menacing. And especially when he talks about, I love the line where he says, "Hey cousin," and he's like, "It wouldn't be the first family that I killed or whatever."
Yep.
I'm like, dude, that's his delivery was so good on that. And I'm like, yo, he meant that. He meant that. Like Austin Butler went and did that himself, bro.
Oh, and the voice, the Harkonnen voice too.
Yeah. Dude,
hey
yeah.
cousin. It's like, wouldn't be the first family member I killed. I'm like, stop. And the fact that he surprised them on set with that, he was hiding that before until they went action, and he came out with that and just, what a good movie, dude.
Great
What
movie.
a good movie.
Agreed.
All right, next, Blade Runner. The OG Blade Runner. Ridley Scott directing back when he was a good director.
Hey, preach it, baby.
During the age of auteur filmmaking, it was the golden age, the 70s and early 80s for filmmakers. Blade Runner is a magnificent existential humanism piece on what does it truly mean to exist, to be alive, to be a human being. And the most human characters in that movie are the robots. It is, in terms of the cyberpunk aesthetic and establishing that visually for that whole genre, from that moment onward, it is the pinnacle film that everything else looks at. There's only one other I would say that is as close, and it would be Akira, the anime classic film, which is again a very, very good movie. If you haven't seen Akira, super good. Blade Runner is phenomenal. It is a slow burn, slow build, and even the larger moments of action are these small, isolated moments in this grand, decaying world that, even as it's dying, is somehow beautiful. Blade Runner will always be in one of my top 10 movies of all time, and it's making my favorite 4. It's just a great film. Even though a lot of it is problematic, that's the point, is that a lot of it is problematic. Deckard's relationship with Rachel is very bad. It's problematic, it's one-sided, it's aggressive, and that's part of the point, is that it's awful. Their relationships, the synthetics relationships with existence, they're all different extreme aspects of negative personality traits. And those negative personality traits were pulled from us humans as their creators. We made them that way. And so it just seeing a reflection of humanity through the eyes of this thing that only lives 4 years but once yearns, dreams of living longer. What a movie, dude. I love that film.
Fun fact, the first time that I ever saw Blade Runner was with you. I had never seen it. We were in film school.
Mm-hmm.
You were once again telling me how passionate you were about Blade Runner, because this isn't the first time we talked about Blade Runner. So like I said, it doesn't surprise me it being on your list at all. At all. But yeah, watch it for the first time with you at your apartment with the AC running 65.
AC running, too hot, too cold,
no,
60,
too hot and too
65
cold,
is too much, don't do that. That was a mistake.
But no, I remember watching it for the first time with you, and I feel like if I watched it on my own, I wouldn't have appreciated it as much without you telling me background on like why you loved it. You know what I mean? And I think that helped me enjoy it more because I saw it from a different lens. It wasn't just like me going in blind and stuff like that. So for anybody watching, listen to how he explains why Blade Runner is a good movie, and then watch Blade Runner for the first time if you haven't done it. But I do have a question for you. Question being such a big fan of Blade Runner, what did you think about the sequel?
Blade Runner 2049 was magnificent. I think it was probably the only film that could be a worthy sequel to Blade Runner. I would say it matches it in terms of telling the point of the story. What does it mean to be a human being? The sense of scale in 2049 is better. It's more magnificent, but that's not surprising because that was directed by Denis Villeneuve, the director of the Dune movies. And then the cinematography was still Hoyte van Hoytema. It was phenomenal stuff. So, I believe it was Hoyte van Hoytema. Let me see.
It might be, but while you look it up, I agree. It looked great. I was a big fan of the portrayal of the character from Ryan Gosling. I think he played it very well. It's almost too Ryan Gosling in the sense of like he's this replicant or whatever. I also love the performance from everybody in the movie actually, but the cinematography, you're right, stands out a lot on how they actually shot it.
It was Roger Deakins. I apologize.
That's right. I should have known that because I just seen the thing.
Wow.
Yeah, no, the cinematography was great. I agree. I think it's for me, I also thought it was a worthy sequel in a sense of like it follows a story very well, as well as like having his own style on the movie. You know what I mean? because you're right. The sense of scale almost matches what Dune was in the sense of like being more in depth.
But
with this world.
there's still like the source material respect while building it out, fleshing it out. The world feels so much more alive and wider in 2049 than it does. Like Blade Runner is like claustrophobic almost because they're always surrounded by these tall buildings. It's always raining. It's always dark. And to be able to still keep that feel, to be able to still tell those stories, but you're now in bright environments, like the bright deserts of a nuclear irradiated future Las Vegas, and like, and then having things happen in daytime, which just didn't happen in Blade Runner. You know, to be able to do that on top of it, it's just phenomenal work. But yeah, it's Roger Deakins. He's one of my favorite cinematographers of all time. Van Hoytema has been on my mind because of other movies recently. And he's great too. He's great. Yeah, he did Oppenheimer. But yeah, 2049's a worthy sequel. 100%.
Love it.
Finally's Interstellar, man. That's on my top 4. That movie is life-changing. I agree with you. The first time I saw it, I walked out and my mind was completely blown. And it was also the facts that movie's special effects department and their CG team worked with actual physicists, and they were able to create computer-generated models that resulted in 7 scientific research papers being published from a film production. Means you did something right.
There was also new discoveries of black holes and stuff like that too through that movie. That's just because of the programs they ran to simulate the black hole in the movie. It's
the most realistic depiction of a black hole, and you've probably noticed every time a black hole has been depicted ever since Interstellar, it looks like Gargantua from Interstellar. It does, because that's what they actually look like.
Makes sense.
And then just the human story. Matthew McConaughey carries, bro. He's so good. He's so good. I get choked up every time he's watching the recordings from home after coming up off of Miller's Planet. I think it was Miller's Planet, right? Is the water one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Man, that movie is awesome. I remember we went to Five Guys after it because we went and saw it as a family. So we go to IMAX. Dad and I immediately got it, and we were on board the whole time. And my mom didn't get it so much, and so she asked me. She's like, "Why was that so good?" And I did not shut up about it until we got back into the house. After we ate everything, we got back in the car. We went home, and my dad and I were just going over these points. It's if you look at the plot points, it's actually very simple, but there's so much depth surrounded around how simple it is. It's the size of a puddle, but it's as deep as an ocean. It's such a good movie.
And I think that's what's so beautiful about it is that like the thing that revolves around this movie, or like the topic that revolves this movie around, is love, right? Love in general.
Love and gravity.
Right? Love and gravity, baby. Exactly, right? That's the only topics in this movie that really matter. But realistically, like how you build the story around that topic is ultimately down to the writer and how you portray it on film with the director, cinematographer, the whole team, really, right? And I think Christopher Nolan does that to a T. Like the scene that always chokes me up, dude, is at the end when he sees his daughter for the last time, right?
Yep.
And she's telling them like, hey, like nobody believed me, this and that. And he's like, well, what made you, or what made them believe me, or like why did you keep believing in me? And then she's like, because my dad promised me. And I'm like, damn, bro, I'm gonna just start crying right now. It is so good.
That was another Hoyte van Hoytema one for cinematography.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, that's right, because I think that's one of the first movies that he stopped working with Wally Pfeiffer.
Yeah.
Because he switched into directing.
Yep.
But yeah, man, that movie is incredible. I remember watching it for the first time with my brother Edward. He had been a fan of Inception, the Dark Knight movies and stuff like that. So I was like, yo, let's go watch this. It's space or whatever, right? He loves this movie.
Yeah.
Loves this movie, right? I think the 10-year anniversary is this year, right?
Yeah.
I think in August or something like that, we might be able to get tickets or whatever.
No, it is. Yep.
Yeah. So we're definitely catching that, no doubt.
Definitely.
But my thing is, like, he was so enthralled by it. He was like, without a doubt, we get in, watch the movie. We're both like shook, right? It ends, and we're just sitting there like, holy shit, you know, like what just happened, right? And then we get in the car, and then we start talking about these theories about why or what's going on, and like who put the wormhole there, and all these, you know what I'm saying? Like it just when you could leave a movie and just continue talking about it for days afterwards, you feel me? When you're just like randomly just bumping to each other, you're like, okay, so I've been thinking about the movie, right?
Yep.
And you start talking about it again, right? The movie did its job. The movie did its job, right? It you're pretty much obsessing over how great it was, and that's something that I will always remember about that movie, is how constantly we talked about it, how many times we went back to the theaters to go rewatch it. We watched it in IMAX for the last time because it was the last time in IMAX it was going to be, so we're like, let's go watch it one last time, and then sure enough we did. And it's like, it's just little things like that that I will never dude, when they're taking off into space, I was so anxious, bro. I was so anxious. It was around the time in my life where like anxiety was a big presence over my life, and I was like, yo, I'm about to have a panic attack real quick watching this dude go to space, because I'm nervous for him, right? And it does that so well. It brings you into the moment. You feel the feels, and you get thrown back into your seat, and you go home.
You get hashtag spelled up, and then you go home.
Spelled up, and then you just, next thing you know, you're at home talking about the movie.
Nobody believed me, but I knew you'd come back.
How?
Because my dad promised me.
The mayor never. The mayor.
No. No parent should have to watch their own child die. I have my kids here for me now. You go.
Where?
Brand.
But no, I agree. Yo, love the list.
Yeah.
I'm actually a little surprised that we have one similar, but the movie doesn't surprise me.
Yep.
But like I said before, I kind of figured that our list would be vastly different.
Yeah.
Which it is. And I think we each, like I said at the beginning, that's the whole point of this podcast, is we think differently when it comes to film, but we both respect it in the same manner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so it's always going to happen when we just have different likes and stuff like that. And that's the whole point, man. I'm trying to get in their head and be like, yo, why don't you like this?
Yeah.
Or why don't you like that? You know what I'm saying?
And
That's
then
the cool thing.
different opinions and different outlooks can still be complementary. That's why.
Yeah, and
that's why we're telling stories, bro.
They still matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you guys disagree with our takes in movies and stuff like that, throw them in the comments. You know what I'm saying? Like, we love to read these things because it's like, oh, you know, art is subjective, right? And the way we see it could be vastly different than how you saw it, right? And that's why this platform is just an open discussion of two filmmakers talking about film, and then listening to the audience and being like, hey, you're right. Or, you know what? I'll be straight up and tell you, bro, you're wrong. That movie did something.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, just going off from there.
No, movies
I'm
are
not with
so
the hype.
weird because art is subjective, but there are elements of it that are objective.
Exactly.
It's very-
That's a very good way to put
Yeah.
it. Very good way to put it. Listen, you can give me all the BS about like, oh, like how, like I have a buddy of mine whose friend is this big film nerd, right? But he has the most outrageous takes, right? And I'm like,
Just
bro,
out of left field.
Out of left field. Like, I know when I don't like a movie, he's gonna hit my boy up and be like, yo, that movie was great. And I'm like, bro, you're wrong. Right?
Yeah.
And his takes are very like, it's almost like he goes on like Reddit and finds like the one person who likes the movie, give this big breakdown about like why they loved it.
Takes
like,
it and then
it's so,
says
like,
it.
social and this is
Yeah.
bro, you just missed the topics. You know what I'm saying? Like, no, bro, the movie just sucked, right? Like, that's just real. But like that, it's all in all, what I'm trying to say is, you're right. Art is subjective, but there's concepts in filmmaking where it's like there's the bad choices made and how they told the story in general, or how it looks, how it sounds, everything. And that's what we're here to break down. You know what I mean? But that's it for today. You know, like the whole point of this episode was to give you guys a little insight of who we are. Yeah. And why our opinion, we feel, matters on films and stuff.
But why
like
you
that.
should like and subscribe. No, I'm just kidding.
And why you should like and subscribe. So listen, if this is your cup of tea, just go ahead and hit that little like button. No, we're not going to do that at all. But what we are going to do is give ourselves a little plug of other things that we have running on the channel that may pique your interest. And even if you're not interested right now, but there's a little bit of you that wants to check it out, click on it and check it out. And Ryan here will give you a brief breakdown of what we got going on the channel.
Yeah, we got 2 other major series running right now. One of them is Monday Minis, where I paint a miniature and I tell you its story. That's going to be on a monthly release schedule for the time being. And then the other one, of course, is The Veiled Light, our D&D 5th edition campaign, where the Echoes of the Broken Chain, one of them played by Oz here, are currently wandering the world, searching for some ancient hidden powers that have shaped and influenced their past. It's pretty good stuff. So definitely check it out.
It's the bee's knees, as the kids say. It's as somebody who myself
that hurt me.
Somebody who's myself who has never liked D&D, who's never like been a D&D guy. I am just obsessed with D&D right now. It is, and I don't see it being a thing that goes away. It's something that will forever be in my soul.
And
so thank you.
I'm
for
working on the tattoos,
me an addict.
bro.
You feel me? That is true. He just got scarred up for this. Hashtag spelled up. He got scarred up for the campaign and just his love in D&D in general, bro. Yeah. So, but yeah, check us out. Let us know what you think. And this is us signing off. We'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.